They believed humanity was extinct until the signal came through. One word, one ghost, one impossible truth. Survivor. The Soldari starship Turin Vox drifted through the cold emptiness beyond the veiled expanse, scanning ruins of a long-forgotten war. The galaxy had moved on. Earth was ash. Humanity a historical footnote filed under extinct species. In the Interstellar Index, that's when the signal came. It was buried in static, barely a flicker in the electromagnetic haze. Lieutenant Kale Voss, a young alien archivist assigned 2 routine archaeological sweeps, froze as the ancient Terran encryption danced across his console. A distorted voice crackled truant, metallic, in old double quotes. Vengeance, survivor, survivor, survivor. Then silence. Kale's 4-fingered hand hovered over the playback control. What the hell was that? He whispered, his voice hoarse with disbelief. Commander Roll scoffed. Artifact bleed. Corrupted ghost code from some old war machine. But Kale knew better. The encryption was unmistakably human, and the signal it wasn't just repeating. It was active. Someone had sent it recently. He isolated the transmission's origin. An abandoned Terran relay drifting near the shattered remains of Outpost Theta V, scorched black and riddled with plasma scoring. As the Terran Vox moved closer, the stars behind the wreck shimmered through gaps in its mangled hull. Human bones floated within a macabre constellation of history. Kale patched into the station's decaying memory core. It flickered alive with ancient logs, damaged but still intact. Across one screen scrolled war footage, Earth cities burning, Zarn dreadnoughts splitting continents, orbital strikes boiling oceans. Then one clip froze the crew. A lone human in power, armor tall broad, faceless standing atop a pile of enemy corpses, planting a Terran banner in the ground. Commander Roll narrowed his eyes. This can't be real. But at the bottom corner of the video, a timestamp blinked, transmitted 6 cycles ago. It wasn't history, it was recent. Word spread fast. The Soldari Council quarantined the relay zone. But that didn't stop the leaks. Within hours, mercenaries, pirates, and scavengers flooded the sector, chasing a legend reborn. Across the galaxy, whispers grew louder. A human survived. He's still fighting. He never surrendered. But no one knew his name. No one knew if it was even true. Yet across distant stars, civilizations paused. In pubs, in war rooms, in dens of crime, and in palaces of order, a singular unease settled in. Because if one human survived the fall of Earth, what else had they planned? Final scene. Visual suspense. Back in his quarters, Kale stared at the decoded fragment once more. The transmission had one frame of data. No one else noticed a flicker of coordinates burned into a fraction of static. A place. Mars. He loaded his personal skimmer. He knew the council would brand him a traitor, but Kale didn't care. He had to know. As he launched into the void alone, the transmission looped one final time in his ears. Survivor, vengeance, fire, not finished. They came to prove humanity was extinct. Instead, they found a battlefield. Still echoing with war. The surface of Earth was not what the Soldari expected. The elite recon team descended in silence through the rusted skies, their dropship rattling as solar radiation clawed at the hull. Clouds curled like smoke over charred continents. The oceans were reduced to poisoned pits. Forests turned to brittle ash. And yet, the land whispered stories. Stories no one wanted to hear. Sergeant Vorik stepped off the ramp into a wasteland of fused glass and twisted skyscrapers. What had once been New Delhi was now a graveyard of collapsed titans. Skyscrapers slumped like melted candles. Roads sliced open by orbital strikes. And beneath it all, bones. Everywhere. Human skeletons charred, buried, fossilized into the stone, frozen in poses of defiance, shielding children, clutching rifles, staring skyward with hollow eyes. This wasn't annihilation, Vorik muttered through his helmet's filter. This was defiance. The team moved deeper into the wreckage. Their scanners picked up strange energy readings pulsing from under the surface deep in the tectonic plates. One of the techs, Xena, traced the readings to a mountainous ridge, scar where a Terran defense fortress once stood. They climbed the slope and found it, a massive Terran war mech, half buried in the earth, its plating blackened with plasma burns. It looked like it had died trying to rise again. A giant's corpse, kneeling, shielding something beneath. On its chest plate etched by laser into solid titanium were the words, "He is not gone, he is watching." Then came the sound skittering. Xenoworld. Motion sensors, 20 meters. Closing. The team formed up, weapons raised. Nothing came. Until Vorik noticed the shadow. Not moving with the sun. Elongated, humanoid, watching from a ruined tower. "Who's there?" he barked. "Show yourself." Silence. Then the shadow flickered. Gone. Xena's screen blinked motion behind them. By the time they turned, Rick was already gone, dragged into the debris. His scream cut short. They opened fire, but they hit nothing. Just rubble, wind, ghosts. In the chaos, Vorik uncovered a small entryway beneath the mech. Inside, a crumbling bunker with human tech surprisingly active. Power cells running, screens flickering. A console beeping slowly, rhythmically. He keyed the mainframe. A garbled voice spoke from the terminal. Protocol Revenant. Mars fallback active. Terminate pursuers. Xena's eyes widened. This bunker's still connected to something on Mars. He's not just watching, he's planning. Then, the lights went out. The team barely escaped. Sprinting back to the dropship as a storm rolled in ash and lightning crackling across the sky, Vorak looked back once. On the ridge, where the mech lay, the shadow returned. This time, it raised its hand, not in greeting, in warning. They hunted the last human across stars. On Varela 9, he hunted them back, in the deep jungle moon of Varela 9. The jungle didn't sleep, it breathed. Towering trees hissed with bioluminescent spores. Predators whispered through branches. Ancient ruins, half swallowed by nature, pulsed with forgotten energy. For years, the mining outpost there had been considered safe boring. Even then, the screams started. The Soldari Council received a distress beacon garbled, frantic, terrified, unknown, hostile, not Zarn, not native, he's human, gods, he's human. Transmission lost. The Council dispatched a rapid response kill team. 5 Soldari commandos dropped onto the planet's surface. Their mission, confirm and eliminate the supposed survivor. What they expected was a malfunctioning drone. What they found was silence. No signs of the 42 miners. Only blood trails. Smashed terminals. Claw marks too large to be local fauna, too precise to be random. Corporal Yeth scanned a scorched corridor. Thermologs say the power grid was overridden 6 hours ago. By who? Growled Lieutenant Cern. No local signatures. Yeth looked up at the flickering lights. They're using Terran encryption, a human override. As they fanned out, helmet cams flickered. One by one, commandos vanished. Bought first Yeth. His feed cut to black, mid-scream. After a flicker of movement, zipped past his HUD blur. Humanoid, fast. Then Tamora taken in total silence. Lieutenant Cern and the medic found themselves alone. Heartbeat trackers beeping wildly. Then came the voice broadcast across their private comms. You shouldn't have come here. Cern froze. Identify yourself. You brought war to my species. I'm just returning the favor. The voice was human. Calm, deep, and close. Something crashed in the treetops. The medic fired blindly and was ripped backward into the brush. No sound. Just gone. Cern stumbled into the main hangar, shaking. There, pinned to the wall with a serrated blade, was a message carved into a Soldari commando's armor plate. Leave, or I'll show you what extinction feels like. The last image transmitted before Cern died was from the outpost's surveillance. A towering figure, Terran power armor, charred black, marked with Earth's extinct military insignia. He moved with unnatural speed, blade in one hand, magnetic repeater rifle in the other. His face wasn't shown, but his eyes glowed faintly blue under the helmet lit by an internal neural core. The footage went viral. News spread like wildfire. Humans spotted alive on Viralani. One man decimated elite squads. Terran wartech active after 2 centuries. The legend exploded. Some claimed it was fake, a rebel hoax. Others whispered darker things, that he wasn't just surviving, he was training, testing himself, preparing. On Viralaning, beneath the ruins. The man sat alone beside a fire in a collapsed bunker, fixing his armor with tools, centuries out of date. He looked up at the stars through a crack in the roof. They're coming, he said softly. His voice was filled not with fear but purpose. They came for glory, they came for credits. None expected to come face to face with extinction. The bounty went live across every black channel. Warfeed and mercenary circuit in the Orion Arms. Confirmed human combatant, active reward. 2 million crux, dead or alive. The offer was enough to summon a swarm. Pirates, assassins, warlords, AI constructs, bounty syndicates, all converging like flies to blood. Some wanted money, others wanted fame, but most just wanted to say they'd killed the last human. In the dark, floating alleys of Obsidian Station, they whispered his new name, the Revenant. Not a soldier, not a man, a specter of war. The first wave hit the surface of Viralaning. In under 24 hours, 17 hunters landed. Only one survived. Her name was Sasha Drek, a cybernetically enhanced tracker. She emerged days later, one arm missing, her left eye fused, shut with cauterized plasma burns. She didn't speak for hours, just rocked in the medbay, whispering to herself. When she finally talked, she said one thing: he let me live, so I could tell the others to stop. She had found him. Deep in the jungle, half hidden in the ruins of a Terran drone hangar. She'd crept close, camouflage skin active, pulse, rifle locked. And then nothing. No sound. No target. You hunt monsters, but what if the monster remembers? He disarmed her in a single motion, held her down, could have killed her instead. He handed her a data stick. Play this. Let them see. It spread like wildfire. Across smuggler networks and encrypted feeds, mercenaries watched in grim silence as the Revenant's message played. You want to kill me, but I'm not hiding. I'm waiting. Each time you come for me, I learn. I evolve. You are not my prey. You are my practice. Turn back. Or bleed. A bounty fleet of 40 ships tracked him to an abandoned Terran satellite factory orbiting the shattered moon of Enos. They breached the station together. He wasn't there. Instead, the station turned on, the walls locked. The turrets activated. The oxygen vented. Only wreckage remained, twisted hulls. Shattered ships, drifting like burnt offerings to a god of war. Suddenly, the legend became real. This wasn't just a story anymore. He had tactics, planning, infrastructure. The bounty was tripled, but fewer answered. One Black Echelon Syndicate intercepted a strange transmission. Not a call for help. Not a challenge. I was made for war. You were made for money. We are not the same. Their ship was found drifting. Crew missing. Controls fused. Practice complete. In a distant nebula, deep in a cloaked asteroid field, the Revenant stood in silence, inside a hidden command bunker. A map of the galaxy glowed before him. The Soldari systems blinked red. He tapped one star system. Hellion Driftin whispered, "Next." Legends are powerful, but the truth behind them is terrifying. Mars, once a monument to human progress, now a dead planet with silent cities and buried secrets. The Soldari had ignored it for years. Earth was always the emotional core of humanity. But Mars was where the dangerous things were built. Kale Voss knew that. The young Soldari archivist had defied orders, stolen a research skimmer, and followed a trail of encrypted coordinates, buried in the Revenant's early signal. Now, as he landed on the red sands near the Olympus Mons rift, he felt something new in the pit of his gut. Fear. The ancient Terran bunker was still there, its entrance, buried beneath a collapsed research dome. Kale pried the doors open using plasma cutters, revealing a passage descending into pitch-black dust floated in the stale air. Long-dead emergency lights flickered as backup power trickled through cables untouched for centuries. He activated his scanner. Faint signatures, human tech, AI cores, possibly cryogenic systems. Then he saw it. At the heart of the underground vault, a command center surrounded by shattered cryopods, controlled chairs still bearing the fossilized remains of what once were human scientists. But one pod was not shattered, it was empty. Gale accessed the core terminal. A hologram flickered, grainy, corrupted, but unmistakably human. A woman, wearing a black Earth Alliance uniform, her eyes tired, her voice determined. "If you're seeing this, then Earth has fallen. But we didn't die in vain. We designed one to survive, not just to live, but to end the war." Project Revenant, Neural Core Fusion, Adaptive Warfare Learning System, Hybrid Combat AI. He doesn't remember who he is. He only remembers what we programmed. When Kale staggered backward, he wasn't just lucky, he was made to survive. As the hologram spoke, a silent montage played across the cracked monitors, a soldier screaming as machines buried him in titanium, fusing armor to flesh. Simulations of him alone, fighting in 300 hostile scenarios. Neural surgeries to suppress identity, leaving only tactical instinct. A final command input before stasis. Hold until future retrieval, or until vengeance is complete. Kale's translator whispered the last line, etched into the wall of the vault. This was never about surviving. It was about finishing what we couldn't. Suddenly, the console lit up. A new signal had activated, pinging from Hellion Drift. The Revenant was moving. Kale downloaded everything. Heart racing. And that's when he heard it. Footsteps. Slow, measured, metallic. He turned. Weapon raised, but nothing was there, except a shadow burned into the wall behind him. A silhouette, broad-shouldered, human. Kale stood outside the bunker, gazing up at Mars' rusted sky. He now knew the truth. The Revenant wasn't a remnant of the past. He was the final design, the last echo of a species that had planned its vengeance to outlive even its extinction. And he was waking up. He wasn't meant to survive. He was meant to awaken. When the galaxy least expected him. Deep beneath the Martian surface. Protocol Revenant activated. Warning lights stuttered to life across a command vault sealed since Earth's final hours. Automated systems hummed. Ancient air scrubbers roared back online, and stasis indicators turned from red to green. In a pod unlike any other, thicker than a battleship hull, reinforced with layered carbon mesh and neural shielding, he opened his eyes. Not with fear, but with clarity. Memories rushed in, like shrapnel distorted, bleeding over one another. A face screaming in fire, a rifle pulsing heat into his shoulder. The sound of Earth splitting under orbital bombardment. Hold the line, we'll make you better. You won't remember us. That's the price. Just win. His body ached as ancient armor systems fused to his skin reactivated. HUD glyphs lit his vision. Muscles spasmed, adjusting to real gravity. After 2 centuries, the AI embedded in his neural cortex whispered, "Revenant protocol, awakened. Objective, restore balance." He sat upright, steam curling off his skin like smoke from a forge. In the ruined chamber around him, screens flickered to life, galactic maps, Soldari broadcasts, bounty networks, warfleet positions. The Revenant watched, Silent. He saw Hellion drift, a civilian star station turned military garrison. He saw fleets gathering. He saw them preparing for him, and he smiled. Good, he muttered. Let them gather. He walked to a wall, locker, his weapons sealed for 200 years. Inside, a pulsablade still hummed with dormant energy. He slotted it to his hip, then retrieved a black fragment of metal etched with a fading earth insignia, clenched it in his fist, jaw tight. Above ground, Kale Voss sprinted toward his skimmer, data core in hand, lungs burning with panic. He'd seen it. The Revenant, waking, the human prototype rising. A voice echoed in his cumslow. Direct. You were meant to find me. Kale froze. How? How are you in my cums? Your ship's system is Terran compatible. I embedded the signal. You're alive. Not alive, the voice replied. Activated. In distant parts of the galaxy, strange things began to happen. Terran war satellites, long thought dead, began pinging ancient codes. Abandoned weapons. Caches vanished from known locations. Black-side eyes reconnected across jump relays. The old Earth systems weren't dead. They were waiting for a signal. And now that signal had come. Inside the Martian vault, the Revenant stood alone before a mirror, his face gaunt, eyes glowing with neural blue, half human and half machine. He touched a scar above his brow. The last thing he remembered was fire. He activated a final screen and spoke into the darkness. Hellion, drift your first. Behind him, heavy footsteps approached from the dark corridor. He didn't turn. I know you're there, he said calmly. A defense drone, rusted but active, stepped into view. Instead of attacking, it bent one metallic knee and bowed. Revenant confirmed. Commander online. They fortified the stars against him, built fleets, raised armies. And still he came. The Hellion Drift Defense Array was a marvel of Soldari engineering, ringed by 50 automated turrets, 4 orbital platforms, 3,000 soldiers, and a Dreadnought-class fleet hovering in silent orbit. It was supposed to be unbreakable. It wasn't built to stop a myth. It was built to stop something logical. That night, the myth arrived. General Arvik stood on the command deck of the Dreadnought Vortex, Crown, reviewing the threat reports for the 100th time. No confirmed visual, no confirmed approach, just a stream of dead scouts, fried satellites, and 2 missing supply ships, all within the past 6 hours. Scan again, Arvik barked. Long range, passive sweep. The technician paled. Sir, there's nothing out there. Arvik's eyes narrowed. Then why? He growled. Can't I stop sweating? At exactly 0200 hours, station time, everything died. Power grids collapsed. Channels went to static. External turrets spun in place, blind and unresponsive. On every screen in the station, a single frame appeared. The ghost you chased is nitrogen monoxide. Longer running, then silence. The lights flickered back, but half the station was already dark. Troops moved to defensive positions, and then came the breach. The Revenant didn't enter like a soldier. He descended like a storm, bursting through a cargo tunnel at subsonic speed, armor humming, pulsablade sparking. He tore through the first squad before they could scream. One soldier raised a plasma rifle. The Revenant caught the blast with his forearm shield, slid under the second shot, and rammed the blade through the soldier's chest. Another tried to run. He didn't make it 10 meters. Security drones activated, but the Revenant was already gone. Vanished into smoke, only to reappear behind them, disabling each with surgical strikes. He moved like vengeance had a body. Meanwhile, in a hidden observatory, on the far side of the drift, Kale Voss activated a live broadcast across all Saldari systems. You were told he was a myth. You were told humans were extinct. You lied to yourselves to feel safe, but he never left. And now he's reminding you why you should have let sleeping ghosts fly. Soldari citizens across 100 systems watched in horror as the feed cut to internal security cams. The Revenant, walking unharmed through fire, soldiers falling, sirens blaring, and above it all, his voice over the coms, your station is not under attack. It's under judgment. As the Soldari dreadnought turned to fire on the station itself in desperation. Warning lights screamed, multiple internal detonations detected. Dreadnought AI override Terran code injected. The dreadnought's weapons turned, not toward the station but toward its own fleet. Then, from the shadows of the observation bay, the Revenant stepped into view, his armor smoking, his body scarred, his eyes glowing like wrath given form. He stared into the camera and said, Earth never died. We just went quiet, so you'd stop looking. By morning, the Soldari fleet was gone. Hellion Drift was silent, and in orbit above, the wreckage, a lone transmission, echoed through the stars. This was a warning. The stars called him a ghost. The Empire called him a terrorist. But the universe would remember him as something else entirely. The last whisper of Earth's fury. Beginning the ghost DSAP, Pia Ars. The ruins of Hellion Drift hung silently in orbit, its twisted metal, a graveyard for 1,000 Soldari warriors and 20 ships. Every sensor array in the quadrant scanned desperately for movement. For a trace of the Revenant's trail, there was none. He was gone, just as suddenly as he had come. General Arvik, the last survivor aboard the Vortex Crown's escape pod, floated in stunned silence, whispering only 2 words over and over. He warned us, VISUAL, Galactic CHOC, KWAVAOX, the galaxy. His legend spread like wildfire. 100 colonies saw the footage. One human just when tearing through what was thought to be an invincible defense. Children whispered his name. In awe, soldiers trembled. Politicians denied everything. But it was too late. The myth had eyes now. Soldari Command declared martial law. Entire fleets were pulled back to the core worlds. Recruitment soared not from loyalty, but fear. And then, rumors began to surface. A station in the Drax Belt found a Soldari prison ship torn open. A governor on Xylon 3 disappeared. An admiral's yacht exploded in atmosphere. No witnesses, no trace, just one symbol scorched into metal. The mark of Earth, midpoint. The last message back in deep space. Kale Voss transmitted the final message from the hidden beacon, orbiting a dead star. You laughed when you bombed our world. You cheered when you declared us extinct. But Earth was never a place, it was a people. And now, one of us walks among you. He doesn't want peace. He doesn't want power. He wants you to remember what fear tastes like. He is the last myth of Earth. The last fire. The Revenant. For the first time, the Revenant stood still, on a shattered moon, orbiting the wreckage of what was once the Terran archives. He looked down at the soil, at a single rusted flag, buried under ashdod. His fingers brushed the edge of the red and black Earth insignia, still glowing faintly after all these years. Memory flooded in. A planet ablaze, billions screaming, the stars watching in silence, and one human hymn dragged from the flames, rebuilt in steel and sorrow. He clenched the insignia and whispered, I wasn't supposed to survive, but maybe I was supposed to remember. Climax. A CHOICHO's voice came through his earpiece. They've declared full amnesty. Revenant, if you surrender, they'll open talks. This could be over. The Revenant stared at the stars. I'm not doing this for revenge. Kale, then why? He looked down at the insignia one last time. Because if the last human dies in silence, then they win, and I'd rather become a monster they fear, than a victim they forget. Ending the legend lives on, the Revenant vanished again. Not a single system has reported his presence in years. A pirate fleet in the Outer Rim found its flagship gutted, its captain hanging by Terran chains. Imperial envoy vanished en route to a peace conference, only a boot print left behind, scorched into the hull. And every year, on the anniversary of Earth's fall, the stars flicker. Just for a second. Some say it's a glitch. Others say, he's still watching. One human survived. Now he's not just a myth, he's a warning.